looks good.
Shapes to get the sequence of the squares to come out, you know, as they are, one after another, column after column. I mean, you'd be sitting there playing for a while to make that happen, right? So this is all done, so it's really cool. So step number 4 is adding a new design element.
You don't have to do that fancy of a thing. Plus you have those libraries where there's already presets in there that you can use, and just, even if it's just changing the color to match your logo or something like that.
The only tool you have is albums. Now, a photo can be in multiple albums, but there's no moving within an album. However, you can drag them around.
And sort them kind of thing.
Customize the order, but there's no tagging within albums.
Definitely some room for improvement.
There's lots of room.
Hello and welcome tonight, everyone. Glad to see everyone tonight out here. Thank you so much for showing up. I see Ben's out there. I see him out in the audience already. He left a comment. Leave a comment out there so we know who's out there. This one tonight is going to be a fun show. I can just tell you right now, because it's a subject that I just love. I love Google Home. I use it all the time. So this is going to be a fun one. But also, I'm going to learn a little bit about Google Play, and I'm sure you will too out there. I know everybody's got questions on it, stuff like that. Feel free to throw them in here when you have those questions. It's going to be awesome. But I got to introduce, and I finally met this gentleman in person. We finally got into the same community, into the same forum and everything. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Randall Leverette. Did I say it? Did I get it?
There you go.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
Say hello to everyone. Say hello.
Hey, hi, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, like I said, Ben Perlmutter's out there in the audience. Hey, Ben, and Richard Clarkson just joined. Andrew Hatchett, I see you just left a comment. And I remembered the audio. That's right, because I always mess up and forget to turn the audio on. And Andrew just left a comment that I remembered the audio, so I love it. So, Randall, let's just start right off. Why don't you just tell the people out there kind of what you do and how we know each other, because they know that I'm a product expert now since they changed it. But kind of tell what you do, how you got into it, and that kind of thing. Tell a little bit.
Well, I was a fresh convert to the Android system, so I started with the phone. So I needed to learn an awful lot about using an Android phone after coming from an iPhone. So I spent a great deal of time perusing the forums and trying to find answers to things that I didn't know anything about because I had been, I guess, using a dummy iPhone for so long. And it was kind of a weird experience being able to manipulate and have an open system where I could just do whatever I wanted with it. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn a lot about it. So I ended up finding my way into the forums, and actually, I found I was able to start answering people's questions. And after answering a whole bunch of questions, I was invited into the top contributor program candidate program.
Right.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, I
know. And, I went into that and learned a lot of stuff about, the Google culture and what it means to be a TC and how to be a good TC and how to be helpful to people. And I graduated out of that with a rising star in Play. Actually, it was Maps and Project Google-Fi. Ooh, wow. That's right. That changed. It's Google-Fi. And then I finally sort of drifted away from Maps and started answering questions in Google Play. Mm. And then I became a rising star in Google Play. And then the Home came out in, 2016?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah.
And I think I bought everyone that was on the store shelves. So, I've sort of kind of fallen in love with all of my Google Home products. So I've got a Home, a Hub, a Max, a Mini or 2 or 3 or 4. And
really?
so I
you have a
tinker.
Max as well? You have a Max as well?
I have a Max, and actually I just bought another one for that was my holiday gift to myself, a new Max. So I bought a Max for myself, another Max, and bought a couple of Minis for gifts and a Hub for gifts. So Merry Google Christmas.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So right now, I'm a product expert in Home, Play, Assistant, because it's really connected very tightly with Home, and Google's new rebranded Google Fi. So those are the 4 things that I support at this point.
Now, have you been with Google Fi from the very beginning? Just curious.
No, actually, I joined Google Fi in 2015, which in fact was the cause for me moving from an iPhone to an Android to an Android phone. I wanted to. I signed up for an invitation, and I finally got one.
Nice.
And it just so happened, and maybe Google planned it that way from and I got an invitation to join Project Phi. And it was also at the same time that they released the Nexus 6P. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get a Nexus 6P. And I got the phone and I've been hooked. So there you have it.
That's awesome. That is so great. I mean, that's fantastic. I think that's, yeah. I mean, once you get in with one or two things, like, okay, I got to try this. Okay, I got to try this and everything.
Yeah.
So I know exactly how that feels. But yeah, I mean, so it's interesting because I know, and if I'm not mistaken, I only say this because I'm a mentor in the forums and stuff. Didn't you start out having a mentor?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. I didn't know.
I got this email asking me to, join this community, and then I never heard anything back. And then 3 months later, I was invited and sent the link to go into the G Plus community.
Gotcha.
And I was there, but I ended up getting a bunch of mentors once I was in the program.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Spencer Wade and
Sure.
Peggy Kay, who you've had here on the show, and Ziggy, who is in Project. Not Project. It's Google Phi.
Yeah, Google Phi. Sorry,
I have to remember it's Google Phi now.
That's right. Sorry.
So I mean, I got to learn from a lot of decent people, a lot of nice people, a lot of fun people. And I hope I'm able to pass it along because I'm now a mentor. So, I try to help a number of different people as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I love it. I love that. That's one of my favorite parts is being able to do that personally. So I totally agree with you and stuff. So,
yeah.
So real quick, I just want to ask, you said, you have all these devices. Just so people know, can you kind of talk about, and I'm going to kind of show pictures while you're doing that, what does it mean to Google Home? Because there's more than just Google Home. There's Google Mini, Google Max, all this kind of stuff. So kind of talk about that a little bit, just so when
Sure. Well, the first device was the Google Home, which is this, it's a cylindrical device, and it was the first one that was released. And I have a couple of those. One is in the bathroom upstairs that I listen to the news and music while showering. I know, too much information. And, in the bedroom, I have a Mini. In the kitchen, I have the Google Hub, which was just released a month ago or so. And in the living room, I have a Max, which is a large, phenomenal, decent sounding speaker.
Right.
And sometimes I drive myself crazy because I don't know which one I want to speak to, and they all answer, and one of them eventually takes over and executes the command, and so it's good. And so then I also have it all connected. So I've got a TP-Link smart plug. I've got 2 Nests. I've got a house full of lights.
Just so people that don't know what that is, what is a TP-Link? Just so you can explain.
Well, TP-Link is the brand, but it's a smart plug. So all of these are smart devices. Okay. So TP-Link smart plug is connected to the TV, and I can just tell it to turn on and off. I usually use that when I go away, so that I shut down the computer and the TV and the internet and the modem and all of that stuff.
So that might be like a light switch or an actual plug, or it could be any numerous things like that.
It could, yes, it could be any number of things. They make a number of different devices that work with Google Assistant / Google Home. And there's a difference between Google Assistant is on your phone, and a version of it, in some respects, powers your Google Home device.
Oh, good. Glad you said it that way, because a lot of people misunderstand that, and they don't know.
Yeah, because there are some features and functions that are capable on your phone that are not necessarily capable on the assistant.
Yeah, and a perfect example is text.
That is correct.
That's a perfect example. Perfect example.
Yeah. Texting is one of those things, how come I can't get it to text from my Google Home device? Meanwhile, my phone keeps flashing because I keep using the word.
Yeah.
But eventually people get it, but they have a lot of similarities, but they don't have all the same capabilities.
Right, exactly. Yes. One thing, you know what, and this is, since we're talking, I'm just going to talk about it. One thing I wish they would have done is had a separate command for your phone, like, okay, whatever you want, Android, and then, okay, Google for my device. So that way, if I'm in the house and I want to text somebody, it doesn't give me the message, oh, we can't do that right now, but we're always learning. Instead of getting that message, I'd actually like to be able to do that. I know on my phone I can, oh, hold on, mine just went off. But I know I can manually hold it down and have it do it or whatever, but I want to be able to have those distinguished. And I always sent feedback about that too, and that they should have done that.
There's huge feedback on that.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, it is something that changed maybe 7 or 8 months ago. I don't know exactly, but I can tell you when I first got the device, I actually used OK Google.
Mm-hmm.
Or okay, or hey Google,
mm-hmm.
and that way I could distinguish. So okay was used for the phone, and hey was used for all of the devices that I have in the house, and it made it pretty easy when I wanted to communicate, so that both things weren't going off. But the beauty of that is that now the way that it works is the item that you're talking to that is best able to execute the command is the item that will carry out the command. So if you say the command and the Max is closer or the one best able to hear and execute the command, it will take control from all the other devices automatically. I don't know how they do it. It's Google. It just happens.
Yeah, as long as it's done.
But
that's all that matters, right?
It is a huge feature request by people who are on the forums.
Right.
And I see a lot of people who ask and who want to know when it is. And the best thing I can tell them is to submit feedback. The more people who submit feedback for feature requests, the better chance that we'll see it and we can eliminate. And the other part of it too, as you were mentioning, was, the ability to customize that word so that you can, if you wanted to say, hey, Michael,
yes, a lot of custom
that could be the prompt word. So a lot of people would like to see that too, and I think a lot of it comes from comparing it to another device that has the capability, which is something that you hear about all the time. Why does such and such get to do this, but we don't? But I can tell you, after having the device since 2016, when it first came out, Google has made huge strides with the home devices. And the speed in which they have done it has been pretty phenomenal. I mean, when I first got it, I was like, eventually it'll catch up. And to be honest, I have one of the other devices, and they coexist happily. And you can't help but make comparisons, but I've got to give credit to Google for ramping up pretty quickly with respect to the capabilities that are now available in the device. There are some things that I would perhaps like to see, but eventually I'm hoping they'll come. But when it first started, one of the big features was Bluetooth and being able to connect to another Bluetooth speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And the forums were packed with people demanding and asking and being frustrated by that. And, Google got the call, Google heard the call, and boom, hey, we now have the Bluetooth. So feedback really, really works. So I encourage you, if there's a feature that isn't there, just, listen to them. They won't respond because they probably get bazillions of them. But trust me, they hear you, and they hear it from those of us who are PEs, because part of the beauty of us working with users in the forums is that we get to take the experiences that we hear from people in the forum or on Help on Social, which is the Twitter way in which we can provide support, and we get to talk to people at Google about some of these things. So
it's fun to like talk to the engineers. We actually get some contact with some engineers depending on certain hangouts every once in a while. I love that. I think that's awesome. We had great sessions this time, especially the search session this time was just awesome.
Yeah, that's way above my pay grade. Search.
I mean, it was fun. It was Search and Assistant. It was Search and Assistant that was together, but it was really good. It was interesting. I'm going to go to comments real quick just to see if there's any out there that we need to push in here. And I'm going to say hey to a couple more people. I saw Sheila came in. Hey, Miss Sheila, and we have Patrick Garrett. Hello from England. Hello, Patrick. Thank you for. I'm sure it's probably 1 or 2 in the morning. Thank you for watching. And I think I mentioned Richard earlier. Tom Langle showed up. He's one of our community members. And we have your real estate whisperer, who is Christina. Christina, thank you for showing up tonight. Let's see. And Ben's out there. He says, you've come so far, Randall, he says. Just talking to, and also he says, Randall's a great resource and a very knowledgeable, great product expert and friend. There you go. How about that? How nice of him.
Hey, Ben. Thanks for the kind words.
And then we have Tom who says, I used Google Assistant on my phone when I was driving home to turn on a light in the house for when I got home. I do that all the time. I actually broadcast. That's one of my, since they added broadcast, that's my favorite thing. You know, I can broadcast stuff straight out to the house, and it scares my wife because she's like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that from you.
Yeah, broadcast is a great feature. I use that one a lot too, especially when I'm away and I need to make sure the dogs aren't doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and and I will say, hey, broadcast, hey, Tess, stop chewing up the paper.
That's good stuff. I love it.
It comes in handy, and when I was away for Summit, I was able, you're away for 3 or 4 days, and I'm here in upstate New York, so it gets pretty cold pretty early. Mm-hmm. And it's great because I have the Nest, which is the home thermostat, mm-hmm. which usually has a geofence when you're around. So if you leave, it turns it down and up and down for you. But I set it to off, and it gets pretty cold here when you're away for 3, 4, 5 days, and you turn it down. But it's nice to be able to be on the ride home, and an hour before you get home to like punch the button and you get in, and it's all nice and cozy for you. So it's really streamlined the way that I interact with things in my home, in my house, and it's a convenience. But I don't depend on it for every single thing. I still will grab the clicker. I still haven't migrated to telling it to do stuff with Netflix or anything like that. I'm not, that's my exercise, controlling the remote control.
I hear you. So let me ask you this, since you're a Google Home expert, product expert, I wanted to ask you, and you're in, I know that's right. I have to do that carefully.
We only know so much, I know, right?
That's exactly right.
They only tell us so much. So everything that we learn, it's from studying the support pages and gleaning things from trial and error.
Yep.
So,
and trust me, we don't get anything before anybody else does. We find out the same time you do.
Right. You get a user that says, hey, now I can do, and it's like, oops, where's that?
Really?
Yeah.
Where's that button? We become the users asking questions.
Exactly. And then you spend the rest of the day practicing it and seeing how it works and what it doesn't do and what it can't do. And so that you can prepare yourself for the onslaught of all the new questions that are going to show up because a new feature has miraculously appeared.
Okay, so here's my first question to you then. What is probably the most common or most requested, whatever, whether it's a feature or a common mistake or something that you've helped with or whatever, however you want to answer this in the Google Home forum? What would you say is probably the most that comes up the most that might be able to help somebody before they even have to go ask a question?
Well, I think one of the things that comes up a lot for me, and I try to answer a lot of things that relate to people who have smart devices in the home. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that people have a huge time setting up initially, because there may be a disconnect for them, but they will get, say, a set of Hue lamps, which are lights that you put, you know, in your lamps or whatever. And they think they can go directly to the home device and set them up when in actuality, what the first step is putting the device, setting it up on your phone in the particular app that comes with the smart device, and then connecting your home device to that new app or your account associated with that app, and then they migrate into your home device, and then you can select and put them in the rooms where you want them. So usually that's a biggie for people when they show up, because they get confused. They think, oh, well, I put the light in the socket and it's not showing up in my Google Home, and why isn't it showing up in my Google Home? But oddly enough, the other thing that's connected with that, and here's a warning to everybody: if you are using and you will probably, you have to use your phone or another handheld device to set up all these smart devices. Just a word to the wise: if you have changed your default browser on that device, you may have problems linking your accounts when you do that, because for some reason, I think it's looking for Chrome in order to do it on your device. And so you have to do it, or it needs your default browser, because not everybody is an Android user. Some people use iPhone. So if you've installed Firefox or, you know, Google Chrome on your iPhone or whatever. I don't even know if you can put Chrome on your iPhone. I don't know.
I believe you can. I believe you can.
Okay.
I believe so.
You know, if you've changed your default browser, you may run into problems. So if you do that, think about that. And also remember, if you've set up two-factor authentication, you may run into some problems. So if in order to set those things up, you might want to turn off 2FA so that they can connect and talk to each other, and then things should work pretty easily for you.
Great advice. I love it. It's awesome. All right. Now, the last thing with home, and then we'll get into Google Play because I don't want to take too long, but the last thing is, you said you have minis, a home, you have a hub, and a max. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm showing pictures of all these right now. Tell me what okay, first of all, I want to know, since the hub is basically probably the newest, I want you to talk about that a little bit and see if it was all cracked up to be what you wanted it to be. And the second thing is, which is your favorite? And you can answer those out of order if you want to.
Okay, the hub is new, and I will say my hope was that it had a video camera, but I know all the privacy stuff, blah blah blah, so it doesn't. But it's a convenient little device. It's not huge. It's perfect. It's nice to see visually the command so that you know that it's been heard and that it's going to be carried out. I have mine in the kitchen because when I cook, when I burn food, you know, I like to watch the news or whatever. So I'm able to, you know, I've set it up in my kitchen and I can cast Hulu or YouTube TV
or Netflix or whatever. Yeah, anything that you.
Well, no, you can't. Netflix. I don't believe Netflix is capable yet of being cast to.
Really, I didn't realize that. Oh wow.
Yeah, and I could be wrong, but every time I've checked it, none of the hub device is the only device that does not show up in the cast menu for Netflix if I go into Netflix on my phone. So
there you go, another
to share.
And Ben says out there watching on a hub right now. He says he's watching this show.
Yeah, it's a great little device. It has a small form factor. Now, which is my favorite?
Yeah, that's a tough. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
You know, and before we started, I told you I got another Max for myself.
That's true.
So I think the Max is probably my favorite device. It's got phenomenal sound. It's got great bass. It sounds good.
It's meant to be a speaker. So
it's right. It's meant to be a speaker, and if you get two, you can put them together and get the stereo sound.
Oh, awesome!
Although when you put them together, I think they have to be horizontal. Okay. They have to be horizontal in order for it to work. I don't know what that is, but they have to be horizontal. No, they have to be vertical to, straight up and down.
Got it.
I wasn't a geometry major.
It's okay. It's all good. No, it's fun stuff. All right, no,
but I love it, and it is part of. These devices are part of my routine every single day. I mean, I get up in the morning and I say, start my day. And then I come down and I start my coffee and I say news. And I have all my news things that I like to listen to, like, CNBC's market wrap and a little CNN briefing and,
whatever you want, NPR. You can actually do actual radio stations as well. You can do individual
radio stations. My favorite is The Daily by the New York Times. Okay. I love listening to The Daily.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really neat that you can do that stuff too.
So that's my favorite. I like them all, but that's my favorite.
Yeah. Got it. Perfect. All right, let's chat about Google Play. Let's talk about Google Play a little bit.
Okay.
Why don't you run us around a little bit? First of all, some people that maybe don't even know or have, because I know anyone with an iOS or iPhone or whatever, they're not going to know what Android Play is anyway, really. I mean, they might know what it is, but they don't use it.
Well, Play, Google Play is for lack of a better comparison, it is the equivalent of the Apple App Store. It is the repository for all the games and applications that developers and Google and anybody else wants to make available to the public, and many are free. And you load it up on your phone and you use your account and you can download whatever it is that you want to get. And then there's music. There's music. And there are books, and there's a newsstand where you can buy magazines and publications, and then there's movies and television. So it is the place for an Android user to go and get their entertainment fix or their consumption fix of media or games or apps.
So, and I'm sure you're going to say yes to this, but does this have like, is it movies that are popular, or is it just movies that they've picked up or that kind of thing? Is it, just curious?
No, it's all kinds of movies. It's first, if let's do Ready Player One came out, I believe, in March, and when it was made available, when the license was available and it was able to be rented, it probably showed up as a purchase, because that's usually the way that it works when you have intellectual property that involves media content. It usually shows up as something that gets purchased, and then after a while, and they make their money on that, then it's released into the video market. So it'll probably show up as something that you can buy, and then it's a rental. So there are lots of new releases and things that were just in, Ocean's 8. I mean, whatever you can think of, whatever the time frame is for releasing things to the public outside of a theatrical, it will show up on Google Play for you to purchase. And the same goes for TV shows.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Good stuff. Good knowledge. And what about does this have anything to do? And I've heard this in the past that Google is doing podcasts, but is this podcast tied into this, or do you know?
Well, you can only get podcasts on your device.
Okay.
But the super, super duper interesting thing is that Google finally released its own podcast application. So if you haven't downloaded and you're totally into podcasts, you can go to the app, Play Store and download the Google
Nice.
Podcast app, which makes it easy for you to find them. You used to be able to find those. They were connected with Google Play Music at one point.
Oh, okay, I got
You
you.
would find those things all in Google Play Music. But now they have their own dedicated podcast app. And, if you're into podcasts, grab it and knock yourself out. Enjoy it.
All right, so that's what I was going to ask you too. When people talk about Google Play, and you already mentioned it, Google Music. Is
Google Play Music, correct.
Google Play Music, all this is intertwined. Is this the same? I mean, is these and Google Plus game or Google Play games? I think there is and stuff like that. Are all these intertwined in the same or no? Just curious.
They're all housed on the same at the same location on the web. Google Play.
Okay.
And when you go to Google Play, when you open your browser, if you're doing it on your browser, for example. Off to the left, it has the different categories. So there's apps, music,
books,
and just say books.
Yeah, books.
I think newsstand,
games.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. Okay, very interesting.
And when you switch over to Google Play Music, it's a total different setup for you. So you have a library and the catalog of music that is available for free streaming if you don't have a subscription. And if you do have a subscription, you have access to, I don't know what the actual count is, but it's a huge catalog of music that you get to listen to that is ad-free. And
really?
you can knock yourself out with that. And it also is something that, you can play on your home devices.
Oh, nice. And does it have can you create playlists with that then?
You can create playlists. You can share playlists. And if you share a playlist, the person, if you have a subscription and the other person has a subscription and you share a playlist, the music would automatically populate on their device for them, and they don't have to go out and find it and listen to it. But if they don't have a subscription, you send them a link, and it'll show them a link for the music for them to buy, or they can test it out. I think the max that is allowed is maybe it's a 30-second sample or something that they use, so that you at least get to listen to it. But if you have a subscription, it will automatically create that playlist for you in your Play Music account, because you're able to add music to playlists free of charge as part of the subscription.
Very nice. How convenient!
It's fun. It's great. It's great. And I used to collect vinyl, so it's made it a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah,
for
no
me,
doubt. No doubt.
Now I don't have to use my Victrola.
That's funny. So now I'm going to ask you, being a product expert in this particular forum, what is a very common question, mistake, or something that comes up that you would say comes up often, or is maybe a little, or even just a helpful tip while we're in there and looking around and that kind of thing?
Sure. A couple things come to mind. The first is you get notified that you have an app update.
Okay.
And you get an error, and there are all of these innocuous errors that Google Play will give you. I don't know why the developers there or the engineers don't come up with something that's like in English, but it's like, error code 452, but 9 times out of 10, most errors are problems with your cache. So if you first try clearing your cache for that particular app or for Google Play app itself, chances are the app will download correctly on your next try. If it doesn't, the next thing you should try to do is clear the cache for Google Play services, which basically is kind of sort of the brains to the Android system. I think I read that Google Play services is like this part of the system that helps relieve some of the burden for the operating system to do some of the work. So your Play Services handles a lot of things and connects with a lot of stuff. So if you have problems with downloading, you might want to try clearing that, because there could be a faulty hiccup in a download. So you might need to clear that out to fix it up. The other problem that also happens frequently is people have issues with payment issues. They can't add a credit card, or they can't set up a family account.
Oh, I see.
Usually, and so usually one of the things that I suggest that people do, and it sounds odd because you try to figure out how is that really related to Google Play and my credit card, me not being able. If you remove your account that you're having the problem in and then re-add it, you should be able to put your credit card that's not going. Or the other option is to switch your default credit card and make that your default credit card, then add your new credit card, and then turn the one that you really want to the default, and then it should stick. So those are two very common things that happen on Google Play. You get a lot of questions about, you know, can't add my payment, or I'm having problems downloading an app.
Yeah, exactly. Comment out here. John says, speaking of cache, I cleared my cache and now OK Google doesn't work on my HTC U11 now. Oops, I keep saying that word and everything goes off.
Okay, John, here's a suggestion, something for you to try, and it's something that a lot of people don't realize. But when you have problems with commands executing with your home device, I would suggest the first thing you check is your Google app, because Google Assistant is housed in that app, which I would assume it is on your HTC device.
Yeah.
So if you try clearing the cache for the Google Home app, or try uninstalling updates for the Google app, that may fix your problem with having issues with using OK Google.
We know the command
on your phone. I'm trying not to say it.
I know, because everybody's
I've got all these devices around, and they'll all start talking to me, right?
That's so true. So true. No, John, he says it's unrelated. I know. No, it's not unrelated. That's fine. You can ask questions here. It's no problem. So we don't have
No, actually, it's very related.
I think it's too.
It's very related. I mean, a lot of times you get people who say, hey, I'm missing such and such in my Google Home app.
Yeah.
And I'll direct them to, hey, uninstall updates on your Google app and clear your cache or clear data. And it'll be, oh my God, it works, you know? Yeah. So it's actually a very, very good question, John.
Yep. Good stuff. We are at the 45-minute mark, basically, pretty close to where I wanted to be. Great stuff. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Very, very informative. I love it. I'm sure I'll have you on again, because this is great stuff, great information, and maybe we can even come up with a show that talks about, you know, one thing I like to do whenever I have product experts on is some of the questions that we get asked. Sometimes we can resolve it ahead of time if we just talk about it in some of these sessions like this, because it is common stuff that comes up sometime. Tech with Brett says, great tip. There you go. Thank you, Tech with Brett. Appreciate that.
Well, I'm on the forums, which you know, because that's where all us product experts hang out.
Right.
But you can also follow me at Gotham, New York on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, people, I've got people that I've helped almost a year ago. Something will come up and I'll get a message from them. Hey, can you da-da-da-da? And I'll work with that, So, by all means, feel free to follow me on Twitter, Gotham, New York. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have that I know. And if I can't find it, I'll find somebody who does, and we'll try and get you up and running. That's what us PEs do.
That's right. That's exactly right. And, and in the description of this video, when this is over with, anybody's watching in the replay, his information's down there. I have his Twitter. I have all that kind of stuff. Randall, you can reach out to him at any time. He's very, very helpful. I know that. And you do help on social as well, right?
Yes, I do. I do help on social for
which is
Home, Play, Google Fi, I don't think they have one for Assistant yet, or I haven't found it.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into that.
And
either.
sometimes I'll venture into Chromecast because home devices have Chromecast, cast case capabilities. So
Right.
It's all related. Most of the things that I try to support are interrelated.
Yes.
One of the things that I like to say a lot is that, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but your home devices are basically dumb boxes. And the beauty of that dumb box is that Google provides the content for it. And so oftentimes people think, my home isn't working. And you might think about, well, maybe it's not home, but it could be something wrong with your account on Google Play if your music isn't working, or it could be something over here. And just like we did with John, hey, it may not be your phone or Google Home. It could be your Google app and Assistant, and something got screwed up with a download or an update, and clearing the cache and whatnot will fix it. So, all kinds of little tricks and tips stuff.
There's my reminder.
Okay, time to go, huh?
Timer. Just want to turn the timer off, see if it'll do it. Yep. Okay, good. Perfect. Hey, listen, thank you so much again. Thank you very much for joining. I really do appreciate it. Folks out there.
Welcome.
Yep. Anybody out there, listen, if you want to get in touch with him, okay, Google, stop. That's all my alarms are going off now. Hey, listen, anybody that watches the show or watching this in replay, feel free to reach out to Randall. I know he'll help you out. I'll be glad to help you out as well. You can always tweet us on our Tinkering with Tech show. It's right down there. It has all that information down below in the description. I really appreciate it. Community members, those of you that are paid for community members, I will put in the community a link so you can join Randall and I. He agreed to stick around for a little bit and chat with us. So he's going to chat with you guys, anybody that wants to come in and just have some conversation, even if it's just talking, Google stuff, because that's what we love to do. You're welcome to join in and have fun with that. Look for next week. I'm not sure what I have next week, but look out for the show. And as always, on Friday night, we do the live game show. You can watch us play a live game show. It's always a lot of fun on the channel. So be sure to tune into that and have some fun with that. And again, one last time, Randall, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on.
You are most welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. And we will let you folks, like I said, community members, we will put the invite in the community and you can join us. Thanks again.